Hello, everyone out there. Welcome to a very special night. I almost said day. Welcome to a very special evening. As you see before you, we have kicked out all of the men in Charmed Persons, and we're taking over. So this is Meet the Persons Gals Night. I am Angie, and we have Emily Kipp, who is right now playing Nay in our Tear-Off campaign, A Little Help. We have Jessica Morrison, aka JMO, who is playing Chad Dreamy Strongjaw. And then we have a beautiful, wonderful friend of the stream slash guest player slash best friend extraordinaire, Miranda. Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing?
Hi, Angie. And we have Angie, who's playing
yes, me.
Rosie in our current campaign.
Honestly, one of my favorite characters that I've ever played in my life.
She's fun.
To be honest.
Physically or emotionally?
Well, honestly, both. Like, honestly, I think I'm actually doing therapy through Rosie. I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but I think that D&D is becoming a little bit of like a weekly therapy session, much to the chagrin of my true therapist.
Especially when your characters go through like such real life stuff. Like, how can it not be?
Well, and this campaign is really like, I think very early on we were all like hit with some very existential and like emotional qualms. Like, so that's fun. But we're not here to do therapy. We're here to talk about, well, we could. Do you want to?
No, I'm good.
I'm not licensed, so I should probably start with that. Okay, so I'm gonna start because I guess I'm technically the host, I guess. I'm gonna start by asking the question that I always ask every time we do one of these Charmed Meet the Persons panels, because I need to know, especially because I don't, and that bothers me. I don't like not knowing things. How did everybody get involved with D&D? Yeah. Whoever wants to go first can. I'm not the boss of you.
I guess Miranda and I kind of have the same story.
Oh, that's right.
Zach,
you'll never guess.
Started. You'll never guess. Zach started a campaign, and I don't know. Did he ask one of us to join, and then the other one was just like, "I want to do that too." And we lived down the street, and we did a weekly session. It was the Red Chorus was our first campaign.
It was solid for like a first campaign too.
It was. It really was.
I think about that so often because Zach has put it in perspective. Because that's how I met. I guess that's technically how I met you, Miranda. Is I think I knew of you from college.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, but I don't think we ran really in the same circle, or like our paths just didn't cross. But I think because Matt also didn't start his D&D journey with Red Chorus, but like started this like journey. And in my head, I don't know if this is the same for y'all. In my head, that campaign was like 3 years long. Like we went from like level 1 to level 20 in my head. But like Zach was like, yeah, it was only like 15 sessions or something. It was like some arbitrary number. And I was like, there's no way. That was like half of my life.
Well, and what's crazy is going into that, we didn't know. I mean, obviously we didn't know what we were doing at all, but like Zach built our characters for us. He had printed out all of our spells on little sheets. We had like a whole stack. And he got us minis. Yeah,
he got us minis.
He got us minis.
He had the little minis, and they were just the like unpainted ones. So it was like really fun, and we were all kind of like little ghosty people, but like, yeah. Oh God, I forgot about the minis. What about you, JMO? What was your intro? Because I didn't even know you played D&D.
Yeah,
until this very campaign.
I had my first campaign, which I think only was like 3 sessions, but it was a bunch of design majors at Ball State. So more of like the tech side started their own campaign. So I actually heard about it through Mickey. For those that don't know, one of the lighting designer professors, he was the DM of it. And so I like heard it through the grapevine. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll try it out. And was overwhelmed and just like thrown in. And it was all like on paper and everything. So I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I think as it happened, because of schedules, we only did like 3 sessions before it fizzled out. So I still
about
was
right.
like, I don't understand what this thing is. And it wasn't until later when I was in LA, a couple coworkers wanted to start a session and a campaign. And I did 2 campaigns with them, 2 short campaigns that were only like close to like probably 10 sessions, lasted like a couple months or so. And we tried to meet weekly, and then slowly but surely we all like moved away or whatever, got new jobs kind of thing, and it fizzled out that way. But that was the longest like standing one that I actually learned how to do it till more COVID times of Zoom. And then I continued it from there.
Nice.
Didn't you guys meet at like 6 a.m.? Wasn't it like super early?
Yeah, it was like
I
the
remember
oddest
that.
Wait, in
times.
college?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because it was
Ew.
the only time people were available and they wanted to play, and we played in the spotlight area of UT. That's where we like met.
Honestly,
And
wait a
just
minute
had
though.
like
That
a
sounds
folding
amazing.
table.
That sounds
Yeah.
like, because I've been up there and it's like that would be a prime
Yeah.
place. It's like a super dark, like very
yeah.
small area. Very high up too. It's like the tower of a
Mhm.
freaking castle.
Yeah, you
or
had to
something.
climb up to actually get into the session.
Wow.
But
And then
yeah,
at 6 a.m.
That's fun.
yeah, at 6 a.m. before
Dedication.
classes. Yeah, I was, and that was as my first campaign. I was like, what? Okay.
Everybody else seems to know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm like, it's 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't know how this game works. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't even remember my character's name.
And 100%, you were probably up until like midnight the night before too.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah,
And so
always.
how did we do that?
I don't know. I mean, you were at
Honestly.
least in rehersal till 10.
Yeah.
And then by the time you actually
if you
get
were a
home,
freshman, then
do homework, like there was no sleep.
for
I
those
think
people
about that a
who
lot recently.
about how you can't anymore. do you
Yeah,
think
just
about
like I didn't sleep in college. Like I don't know what the fuck was going on.
And I don't
like-
remember feeling the way that I feel now when I don't sleep.
Right.
I don't remember
just
that.
roll
I
with it.
remember, yeah, I remember being like, this is life. This is how it is.
Yeah, this
Just
is how
don't
it is.
sleep.
Just don't sleep. Meanwhile, I fell asleep at like 9:30 on the couch last night. So I'm like, okay.
And it's so wonderful.
And it
Oh,
was
yeah.
great. Yeah.
I love being an adult. What is it? There's like the meme that's like, how come all of the punishments from childhood are now like my goals as an adult? It's like,
Yeah,
sit in my
honestly.
room, don't talk to anybody, be in bed by 9. Like,
Yep.
wow. Okay. So follow up to this. It might get a little serious, you guys. It might get a little serious. So if it
I have
gets
to go.
too serious, just tap out, time out, or whatever. Oh, bye. Okay. Well, this has been fun. Thank you for coming to Monkey House. So okay, so I know this is like the talk. I don't think I've experienced any of this in our group, but part of the reason I wanted to have like a gals night is because through doing like all the social media stuff for Charmed Persons and like trying to research and blah blah blah, there's a huge gap of like what is a gamer and like women in gaming and you know, that whole kind of trope of toxic masculinity in gaming. And so part of the reason why I wanted to do this is to just like get y'all's experiences or opinions, or like, I don't know, just have like kind of a platform to talk about it, because I don't know, I feel like I'm not in it either deep enough to have experienced it, or we're luckily in a spot where like where we're at is kind of moving away from that. So I'm curious to hear y'all's experiences with that.
I was just thinking about this today, just getting ready for this, and I think that my experience from it has mostly been from like an outside perspective, and like I'm really visual, so if I decide like what class and what species I want to play, I'll like look up images of the characters, and I'll find like some character art that has a cool vibe, and I'll kind of like make a backstory off of that, especially early on when I didn't have as much practice like creating characters. And even in the 5 years or something that I've been playing, I feel like I have more options than I used to. You like Google like female whatever character, and they're all naked and aren't wearing armor, and
God forbid you want to play a female barbarian.
right.
Ugh.
It's like there's
Why are her
no
boobs so big? Help.
the first like several characters I played, I remember coming in with an image of a character and being like, she looks like this except she's wearing clothes.
Oh yeah.
And now, even now, I mean, it's still not great, but I do feel like I can Google what I want, like a Google image, what I want to see, and I have more options of what that looks like without them being hypersexualized. They're still mostly hypersexualized.
And
So
still
that's
mostly men, I would say.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
like the hyper masculine classes and races are like, it definitely shows when
Yeah.
you like a barbarian, like looking for a female is tricky.
Even like when I was looking up character art for Ray in campaign 1 as like a female ranger, I was just like, oh, this is very interesting that all of these depictions are like these very like, why is this ranger in a corset? You know what I mean? And so
Totally.
yeah, and there is definitely, I would agree with Emily, definitely it's been a little bit easier to navigate that. And I think also, honestly, I think probably the same conversation could be had with, women in like fan art world and like art in general is like, I think there's a lot more female artists who are, and especially with all of the tools in the internet and how you can now put your art out there. It's becoming an easier medium to find, art by artists who are more closely in your, gender expression or your, non tittied up barbarian nudity. I don't know why I'm stuck on the barbarian. I think that's the one that like sticks out in my head.
Yeah.
It's just like a leather like
it really
headband.
Totally. And that
Actually, like kind of going off of that, it's interesting because there's one other person who has identified as female, but recently reached out to me and was like, your character is non-binary and I've like been feeling a certain way about this, and like can we meet up and talk about it? And it's like, I definitely identify as a pansexual person. So it's like even a lot of the women that seem to be in the D&D world seem to be queer women.
totally.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
1,
look at
2,
this.
3, 4.
Look at this panel. Look at this panel. And our Bi-Wife Energy producer, Zach. Thank you. Yeah, that's and that's another kind of topic too of, and JMO I don't want to take away from, it sounded like you had something to follow
Yeah.
up, but
I mean, you go ahead and I can.
well, I just want to bring up the like sexuality portion of it as well.
Yeah. I was just gonna bring up more of the like, I think more recently, and since I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I still consider myself very new to Dungeons and Dragons in general, compared to just how long it's been around, and even in my life being more new and more fresh to it. And it's it's humorous to me how queer it seems to be now, and that's like a big just like community even within the D&D community is specifically queer. And so, but going back, you know, even 10 years, that wasn't the case. And me personally, I've been lucky enough to be with theater people or with a queer group doing Dungeons and Dragons when I was in LA. So I've never had the like overly masculine, you know, mansplainer or anything like that in my group. But I think that's because of the people that I've chosen to play with, not
Yeah.
that they don't exist, because I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that now it's less common because of what I think the more common D&D group has become, which personally I think is great and more inclusive, and also still allows you to explore a different character. So for me, if I want to play a man, I can, and I'm totally
Mhm.
comfortable doing that with you all,
Mhm.
versus when I first started, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a woman and I'm gonna play someone very similar to myself, and I'm gonna like all of these things.
I will not stray.
And I will not stray, and that's it. But now it's like, okay, you know, if you're a DM, you can play people who use they pronouns. You can play anyone of any sexuality, and it's open to that. And it's not saying you identify as that or you're trying to tread on that identity. That's just a character that you want to bring to your story.
Mhm. Snaps. I'm part of another podcast in which we say "go off, sis" whenever we like get on a topic about
Like
something.
that.
At my new school, we have hand gestures, and you do this if you like agree with the person talking.
Oh, it's like you and me. Yeah, I feel
It's
you.
like yeah, I feel
I
you.
love that. Let's adopt that. Let's do it.
I like it.
Yeah, so then kind of in that same vein then of like playing to an identity or playing, you know, JMO is playing a man in our campaign. And it always I thought about this the other day when we were playing. I was like, oh, it's very interesting. I didn't realize there's only 2 gals in this group in terms of like the character grouping. Like it's only May and Rosie.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's fascinating. And then I like was thinking of why or what drove you to want to play a man in this campaign, or like was that something that you kind of were stirring up like right off the bat, or was it something where you were just like, no, we're doing it, like kind of a split second decision?
I think it was like a mix of it, of like wanting to try something new. Again, it comes a lot with the party that you were a part of after the first campaign and a couple other campaigns with a couple other of you. I felt comfortable with you guys, so I wanted to try something new. I wanted to try a class I hadn't been before, a race I hadn't been before, and a character that very much would challenge me to new ways of thinking and playing and all of that. And so as I was thinking of that, I thought, what better way to do it than to be a man and see, and not try to be also like the barbarian man that's dumb and you know, all of that. It's like, okay, can I be a man that's not a stereotype, that's not that's still queer and is just like a generally good guy. And honestly, I'd been watching a lot of Ted Lasso, and I was like, so that inspired his character a lot. And I was like, he's just such a good guy. And so I wanted to like emulate that in a character as well, of just like not a stereotypical guy that, you know, yes, is a fighter, but is just a good dude that, you know, is friendly, welcoming, all of that.
Yeah, we definitely miss Chad in our little party.
We've
I
been
think
missing Chad for a
yeah,
couple sessions.
Chad and you.
Yeah.
But Miranda, you said something earlier too about someone coming to you with like stating that you are playing a non-binary character. Is that something that is in like a campaign you're in right now?
Yeah, that's the campaign that I play right now. And it's all teachers, which is very different. And
What?
there are definitely straight men that I play with, is what I'll say. It's a very fun time. I have a very good time. It's actually really great. Like, especially there's something about everyone really respecting Rain Malin as my character's name. Like it's really cool to see everyone respecting their pronouns and like
Mhm.
sometimes being like they. Yeah, it's like it is cool. I feel like I agree with you, Jama. Like it was a little bit like, I don't know, like maybe I want to play this character because I want to just see what that's like for myself and my real person. Just
Mhm.
and like, what does that look like? And I think it's actually been a piece of me feeling like I am sort of a gender fluid person. Like I do think that had some effects on it.
Mhm. Again, with the D&D as a therapeutic release, is like you're discovering yourself through, you know, being like active in this other part. I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I sit in a session, um, and I'll get so into it because I'll like put my phone away. I'll like only be here and then in the Discord chat, obviously goofing. But sorry to anytime I've ever taken away from what was that time that I like made everybody laugh so hard that Zach had to be like,
It was when you were
what was
checking the
the gift?
stream, because I just watched that episode and you were checking the stream, and during that time, Eric made an imaginary window,
Oh
and then you made the
God.
imaginary window.
So embarrassing. And then later I told everybody on the stream that there was no reason for me to not know that Eric did that because I reacted to Eric doing that because Emily clipped it. So sorry, everybody.
It was very funny.
Living my best life.
yeah.
But what was I saying? D&D therapy.
Just that.
Just
think-
being
yeah.
lost in it, being lost in it, and like really kind of not blurring the lines of reality and fiction, but there are some times where like you put kind of so much of yourself into a character in ways that you didn't even know were parts of yourself.
Well, and
And I
D&D is
think
literally like playing pretend. Like it's
Mhm.
trying out it's trying on a costume. It's trying on, Zach and I joke that often my characters are very confrontational. And I think it's because I'm not, so
Yeah.
it's like, it's kind of fun to try on that hat and do
Mhm.
that. And then sometimes it's fun to try on things that you think actually might fit and
Yeah.
see how that feels. And that's what D&D is. It's literally just playing pretend and seeing what fits.
I think
Yeah.
I've flirted with more men in D&D than my entire life.
God.
Like hands down, as Chad,
Literally.
even as Chad, flirted with more men than I have in my entire life.
Well, and I was so interested in why the like two very gay women in campaign 1 and campaign 2 are the ones that are flirting with Evan's character.
Right?
I'm like,
Every
what's
time.
happening? What is Evan doing? What is happening? And so I think about that a lot, and I was like, oh, maybe I should explore what's happening with that part of my sexuality.
Mhm, mhm.
Anyway, oh, I had a follow up. See, this is what I always think is going to happen. I get so excited, but I forget.
We just have so much to say.
I know. Oh, fuck. I'm just so interested in like, thank you, Miranda. What were we talking? Okay, back online. D&D as therapy,
That's the
sexuality.
bottom line.
Oh, yes. Okay. So then in what ways right now, aside from like Miranda, you talked about like discovering things, what are so as Emily is May, Jay, Mo as Shadrimi, and Miranda as what is your character's name?
Rain Malin.
Rain Malin. I love
So
that.
pretty.
What is the most like you that you started with, and what is the like antithesis of you as a person?
I know the antithesis right away. I feel like
Say it out loud.
I feel like,
Vampire.
especially in the last campaign, I was
Thank
very
you.
like taking charge. Like I was like the leader. I was like pulling the action forward, and I think
Uh-huh.
that I kind of try to do that in my life. And so one of the things with my new character that has been kind of tough is that she's not a decision maker. You know, she's
Mhm.
someone who's there to help and do what she can and kind of go with everybody else and voice an opinion when it's necessary. But it's hard. It's definitely been hard for me to play a character that isn't like, guys, this is what I think we should do every
Mhm.
time, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know what's most alike. Give me a minute.
Well, I do. My favorite thing about May, and this is gonna be totally skewed because I play with JMO and Emily, but I don't play with Miranda, so I'm not gonna be able to talk about my favorite thing about Raymond. Sorry. But I love how blunt May is and how like you've executed this delivery of like, oh, Quinn, that's stupid. Or like, oh no, you all are doing it wrong. Like or just the way that you have like gotten that and like captured
She's
that.
very concise.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's
And it's
not-
never in a mean way. That's what I love about
no,
it too.
it's
Just
never in a
genuine.
mean
like
way.
you're just like, yeah, that's how it is.
Hey, that was a dumb thing that you just did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
And usually
wow.
people are like, okay, yeah, but
And it's not sarcastic. It's not like, oh wow,
Right.
that was really dumb. It's like, no, that was idiotic.
Mhm.
So that's my favorite part about me. We can come back to if we want to do like the antithesis now, and then we can come back.
Mm.
Do a little
Sure.
circle,
let's do
circle
that.
up. What is
Circle
it?
back.
I'm gonna circle back.
Let's go back to that. Let's put a pin in that.
Yeah.
I feel like besides the obvious antithesis of liking men, my biggest
sorry.
challenge is
That
Chad.
really got me. I'm just trying really hard to like
Um,
them.
Weirdly, I can think of the similarity more than I can the antithesis, because generally I think Chad and I have the like almost like as I am of just like generally happy, like hoping everyone's having a good time, you know, usually very smiley, all that kind of stuff that Chad is, and just wanting, you know, generally to have a happy and good life and whatnot. Whereas Chad just takes it to the nth degree because he's so charming. He just like goes that like one more step to force the friendship kind of thing. Whereas I'm less outgoing, I guess, which I don't think is a full antithesis, but yeah, I don't know. I think just the general personality of Chad of just wanting everybody to have a good time and all of that is, I think, our biggest similarity.
Nice. My favorite thing about Chad is that he likes men.
Well,
And I think
like it.
but this is real. But this is real because I also think about this a lot. I do a lot of thinking, you guys. I don't know if you've noticed. I live alone and I walk a lot, so I do a lot of thinking. But I do think that like, especially if we're talking on this train of like what it means to be masculine or like toxic masculinity or like whatever, there is a severe gap in like gay men and I'm not sure like in gaming, like if gay men play D&D or like I'm sure obviously they do, but like gay men and representation of like characterization or even in like media, it's always gay women. It's like that's a palatable, you know, scenario for men and women alike. But gay men create discomfort. I'm saying this as like a person who says this, like,
or they're like really
very
stereotyped so
stereotyped.
that you're comfortable with the
Yeah,
box that
and
they're
like
in.
they're either the sassy best friend or like the closeted masculine guy. You know what I mean? So I think that it is very interesting and cool to have like a man in this world who is a man who likes men or who is open to that sort of exploration. And I think that shouldn't be like not that I don't want to make a joke of it, but like, because it's funny when you're like flirting with you know, whoever. But like, I think that's important too, is like not only women represented in games and like a slew of sexualities, but also to remember that like gay men are also very underrepresented as like
Oh, yeah.
serious characters.
Right.
Mhm.
Totally.
Yeah.
More of a niche
Mhm.
Yeah.
in the market, you know.
Yeah.
I think my antithesis
Nailed it.
is I think that Rain Malin is much more committal to things. Like they're part of the Harper's Guild and they're like a spy for good, and which is like, not that wouldn't do that.
I would never be a part of a good group.
I think it's just a lifetime dedication that like they're so willing to jump into. And like I came in late to my party, it was relatively early on, but I was definitely like coming in. Oh no, I've lost my train of thought.
Welcome to my life. We'll be over here. We'll talk until you figure it out. Okay, so hey everybody, what's up?
Okay.
Don't worry about Miranda. She's doing okay. No, I'm kidding. Women helping
but
women.
just the fact that my character was so willing to be like, can I come and be with you guys and maybe I can help do stuff, because I'm a spirit guide and things. I don't know that I'm that great at making choices. But I think where the similar is like they're just funny and goofy. And actually, I should go. Like, oh, an accent that looks like this. It's like not a real accent. Like maybe it's Australian, maybe it's New Zealand, but
there's no way to know. If any viewers from New Zealand or Australia are watching this, please let us know. We will take dialect classes. It's a little in the middle. That's like the big trend now on the TikTok is the Arno. And there's like Cleo. There's a whole series that I've been watching where it's like movies done with Australian actors, and the one I just watched was If Lord of the Rings was actually filmed by Australian actors, and it was like, or no, it was like New Zealand, and like the guy playing Frodo was like, "Kind take this ring." And it was like the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I watched
Amazing.
it, definitely.
There's a Kate McKinnon SNL Australia sketch. Like,
Oh, that's a good one.
Drop that in the chat. Emily, have you thought of your a likeness?
Yeah, I thought of one. I don't know.
Do it. Say it out loud.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I think we have similar decision-making processes. Like, she definitely is motivated by the right things, but maybe sits on stuff a little bit too long. Like, obviously, she's been having problems with how her brother's acting for like half of our sessions now. And
most of the sessions.
For most of the sessions, and definitely like brings it up sometimes, but doesn't like face it head on and actually just like talk to him about it. Because I think we're both like motivated by, I don't know, people liking us.
Yep. A real thing. A real thing.
Can't relate.
Miranda loves when people hate her. It's her favorite thing. Side note, Miranda, you said Harper's Guild. Are you all playing Princess of the Apocalypse? Or is it a homebrew?
It's definitely something.
Okay.
I don't know.
I didn't know. I just know I
Definitely
stole
something.
I didn't steal Princess of the Apocalypse, but I was using it as like a reference for a campaign I was trying to build, and they have the Harper's Guild in the like book, and I was like, oh,
Ooh,
that'd be
I know.
cool.
It's about to end. Like we're like 2 sessions away, basically. It's as long as we don't take too long. I don't know. It could go longer.
You never know.
There's no way to know.
Sometimes. But we're about to battle like a mind flare.
Oh,
Is that a part of it?
I wouldn't know. I only looked
Oh,
at
okay.
the like world building materials. I didn't look too much into the story of the camp.
Mm.
I won't spoil it,
Ooh,
though for what I
awkward.
do know. I know. Ugh, I like name dropped and no, I can't follow up. Yikes.
Yikes.
Yikes. Okay. So probably most important question of the evening. And because there's 3 of you, I'm starting it now because that might take us until the end of this interview to go through it because I really want you to think about it.
Wait, you didn't say how you're most alike and different from your character.
Oh yeah,
and I
and I
wanna
have
know
my
that.
antithesis as well. I'll say it real
Oh,
fast.
Yeah, say your antithesis and then I'll say mine. I forget. If nobody asks me things, I don't willingly give up information.
We're asking
I'm
you.
here.
I'm a Gemini. Okay. Yup. What was your antithesis,
My
J-Mo?
antithesis is so Chad is very green to like being in a group except his family, and he had like a pretty nice upbringing. So I think more recently he doesn't realize the consequences of his actions and how they might affect others because he's lived on his own for so long, or just like never really had consequences besides like a fight. Whereas I always think of the consequences. So yeah, so that's something he's learning more and more now, especially in this campaign. But before, he just like had a pretty chill life and then was traveling on his own, taking care of himself, and that's it. And now he's like, oh, the things I do affect the people I'm now in like a group with.
Yeah, I remember specifically that little moment when you kind of had the decision to like come with us or stay behind, and like that was a very compelling moment because up until that point, like I as my character was like, I have so much to think about because my family's dead, but
Yep.
but I didn't even think like as a player of like you feeling responsible for that. And I was just like, oh no, Gil Marie is absolutely like blah blah blah. And then when you were like having that aside with, was it Martin or somebody, where you were just like, no, I feel like this is my fault. And I was like, I was like, oh, this is some storytelling. This is a story. This is a drama. Somebody called Lifetime. Yeah. So I think, yeah, I just geek out about all of us.
Yeah, totally.
You can take out about yourself.
Okay, fine, whatever. I think, well, one, Rosie has been my favorite character to play because I've never played a cleric before. I've always played a character who is like in the thick of it and is like, you know, the one that's like front lines. And so it's really, I think the part that's most like me is the like doing the background work and like casting guidance on that person while like I like usher some people over here, and like I don't know if it's my director background where it's just like don't and nobody perceive me, nobody look at me, nobody and then I just like work some magic and then I like dip. So I think that's the part that's most like me. The least like me is going to be hard because I think it's just me. I'm not 700 or 274, number one. The least like me, the antithesis. I think she is a lot less willing. I think Rosie's a lot less willing to be honest about the ugliness of things.
She's just unwilling.
Like literally, and she knows, like, so the thing is that like in those moments, she knows.
Yeah.
Like she knows exactly what's happening, but like I am a person who's like, oh no, this sucks. This is absolutely awful. And we have to keep moving forward. And so like that part is similar, but like Rosie is just like, nope, look, here we go ahead. Nothing matters. Badness is in perception. Bye. So I think that might be the most antithesis of kind of the difference in that.
Yeah. I loved Rosie doing laundry right after we got back to the house. Like that just like
That
tugged
almost
at the
made
heart
me
of just
cry.
like, okay,
It's
like
like, yep, just
she's
keep
like, oh,
going.
I'm just gonna do laundry. And I'm just like, oh God. That's like almost worse than you just like having a breakdown.
Mhm,
Like you just being like, okay, it's laundry time
mhm.
when your children just died. It's just like mind
In
boggling.
front of you too, which like,
Yeah.
thanks, Zach. Love you, bud. Zach is still like, I think his proudest thing. Well, I'm not going to speak for him, but we love this about each other. And not to make our gals night about Zach. But also like an ally. Listen, an ally. And like, I'll go back to the beginning where like, this is such a solid group of dudes who have set a standard of
Yeah.
like what to expect or like what I can expect from any other D&D group that I
Totally.
play with. Like Matt and Eric, well, Eric a little later, but like Matt was with like me and Miranda and Emily from the beginning and like knew so much already about D&D and never once made us feel inferior or never once made us feel like because we didn't know the game that we were like noobs or less than. Like he wanted to share and like Zach wants to share and Eric wants to share and like I say Evan wants to share too, but I just started playing with him. Evan, do you want to share? Okay, cool. Thank you.
Let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe to see if Evan wants to share. But like in those early campaigns when we were all just so green, like that's why I feel kind of disillusioned from the like idea that there is sexism in gaming because I'm like, oh, okay. Who y'all playing with? Like, fuck,
It's
jeez.
true, yeah.
So shout out to the men of Charm Person. Which brings me to the last question that I always end with, because again, I need to know if you, okay, so it's a two-part question. What is the class that you are?
Mm.
And what is the class that you want to be?
Hmm.
This is my favorite game. I played this game watching League of Their Own last night. We played Who Would You Play and Who Are You? It's good.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't even think of all of them right now.
Oh, I think we lost Miranda. Oh no.
Is it me as a person or like my character as a
No,
person?
you as a person. So Miranda
Okay.
is this
Mhm.
class. Emily is this class. But then like what class do you want to be? Like if you got to choose a main
Okay.
or like whatever. I told you, deliberations.
All right. I'm gonna throw something out there.
Okay, throw it.
I think maybe I am like a cleric. Definitely not
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of like being a medical professional, but
You think Rosie is a medical professional?
a
Rosie
healer.
thinks Jesus gives her powers. Like, God.
Praise Doom.
But in the way of being just like support to the whole,
Mhm.
but I would want to be, I always think like for me, like druids are the coolest because
Mhm.
they have that support and that, magical ability, but then they also have the ability to get like right up in the fight
Mhm.
and like really be a part of the action and be really, versatile. Like literally they can change into things, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's my answer. I'm sure I'm going to think about this in the middle of the night and be like, that's what I should have said.
Smack Zach and be like, oh, this is it. Amazing.
Angie.
Can you
Gotta
edit it
redo
out?
the stream.
Angie, we have to get back on stream real quick. I have to take it back.
I have a kind of similar answer where I think I'm also a cleric in the like, I don't know if you guys Heather turned me on to the Enneagrams and all of that. And so I
People
know
love
I'm
a
a,
number.
Hmm?
People love a number.
oh yeah.
Numerical value.
So in that I'm a 2, which is usually the like caregiver helper and all of that. And so I think for cleric as well, that like fitting into that role of assisting everyone, making sure everyone's okay. Like, do you got this? Do you need this? And just kind of bouncing around, but not like directly in the front of it. And then what I would want to be, I feel like more towards a fighter just because of how non-confrontational I am and how that's like one part that like not all the time, like I don't want to say barbarian because I don't want to just like rage all the time, but like fighter to at least have that drive to like be a little bit more confrontational and like stand up for something, or just not be all nervous and say nothing instead of confronting when I probably should. So yeah.
Nice.
I'm pretty torn. I was thinking cleric, and then can you hear me?
Mhm.
Okay, my screen just isn't switching, and I got nervous. So I was thinking cleric, but then I was thinking like, actually, I think I'm more of a bard, just in the sense that I feel like I am performing quite a bit, especially as a teacher. It's just like I can't be just me and effectively teach kids. So
effectively teach being the operative.
Highly effectively, but I don't know, because I think in my real life too, I think it's a little bit with the like loving comedy thing, is like I want to make other people feel better. Like, it's not in the sense of like everybody needs to hear this. It's like, if you're having a bad day and this makes you smile, that's pretty cool. I think I wish I was a little more like Rose, honestly. Just, I think that there are a lot of things that I think about or have thought about doing, and it's just been like, well, that's not like reasonable, or whatever. Like, I would definitely, I wish I didn't care as much, I think, is what it is. I just care too much about everything.
Rogues don't care about anything, notoriously. Wow.
What about you, Angie?
Listen, if I say cleric, it's almost as if all of us were raised as female in Midwest Indiana, and we're designed to be caretakers.
Trying to think of others first than us.
Yeah. I'm just stating a pattern. But I think I feel like I do have some cleric tendencies, but I think I'm kind of in the same boat with Miranda on the bard thing, because bards are usually, they like come equipped with the cure wounds scenario, and they like have some like healing capabilities, and I think I feel very much like a storyteller at my core, and I think that's what like a bard, they is. And even in like outside of D&D, like the bard, Shakespeare, and like bards are notorious for like being kind of news spreaders and like storytellers. So I think a bard would be what I am. What I want to be is a fucking wild magic sorcerer. I just want to be always a wild magic sorcerer. I want to do magic and something weird will happen. And that keeps life exciting. And it could happen to me. It could happen to someone else. I don't know. It just seems like good mechanics. Fun.
Life a little more wild.
Yeah, and also what DM doesn't like to keep tabs on a wild magic table? I'm just here for the DM, you know?
Honestly.
Yeah, so definitely Bard, want to be a wild magic sorcerer.
Sweet.
Wow, you guys. Gals.
Yeah.
I put
No
my-
guys allowed.
Oh, the patriarchy.
Oh god. Thank you for taking this hour out of your day.
Thank you, Angie.
Yeah.
And I
Thanks for
hope
having
that
me.
we get to play with Miranda much more. Spoiler alert, we're playing with Miranda on Sunday. Check out, we're taking a little break from A Little Help on Sunday, so that Emily and Zach can go on a much needed, beautiful vacation starting tomorrow. Where shout out, they're going to be playing D&D with Zach's mom.
Yes, we are. We already
I
played with her
cannot wait.
once.
Incredible.
So
I cannot wait to
good.
hear. Yeah, I heard she's really, really good.
She
Yet
jumped right
another
into
woman
it.
I
in
love it.
D&D.
It was great.
It's never too late to try something new. But so join us on Sunday. We are going to do a Candlekeep session with me, Matt, and Miranda. So you get to see a little bit more of Miranda. No. Miranda, are you playing on Sunday? Yes.
When,
Miranda and
the-
Michael. Michael's
Yeah.
playing. I was like, what alternate
Yeah.
reality did I go into? I was like, is there only 3 of us? Is there 4 of us? Wow.
There's 4.
It's as if I don't even know what I'm promoting on the social media. With Miranda and then special guest Michael, who you saw in the Storm Queen one shot as Cal, aka Bob Ross, I guess. So tune in to that on Sunday, and then we'll be back with our regular Tearath session the following Sunday. Yeah, as always, keep up with our social medias. We are at Charmed Persons on every platform, including hopefully a TikTok soon.
It exists. There's just nothing on it yet, but it exists.
Oh my
Go
gosh.
follow
Okay,
it.
well, go follow it right now. Go follow it because I want to be one of those accounts that has like 90 followers but no content. And I'm like, how? But anyway, yes, thank you for joining us. We are the Gals of Charmed Persons. And like we do every Sunday and Monday and beyond, everybody say bye.
Bye.